Hello, everyone. Welcome back. We have a special guest with us, Lindsay Stidham. Welcome.
Thank you. Yeah.
For taking our invite.
Yeah, for sure.
And you're a screenwriter.
That's right.
A professor in screenwriting.
Yes.
Filmmaker. Please introduce yourself as far as what you do to our audience.
Yeah.
And we'll just jump right back in.
Sure. Well, you covered it. Writing is my love and passion, and why I moved to Los Angeles. We're filming in LA, and favorite city in the world, and been here a long time. And I went to the American Film Institute. That's why I came here, and now I've been here like almost about 2 decades. And I'm a writer. I love comedy and rom-com and dark comedy and based in true stories. That's kind of like my bread and butter of what I mainly write. And then I also teach. Now I teach at USC, and I teach for DePaul, which is how I got here. And I teach for Long Beach. I teach a lot of places depending on the semester. Love doing it. Love having people find their voice as we find their story. And yeah, and I've produced a lot of movies at this point too. So yeah. That's
and
me.
you also went to USC, correct?
No,
Or
I
you
went to the
didn't go?
American Film
Oh,
Institute. Yeah.
Okay. I thought
USC wouldn't take me, so it's my comeuppance that I teach there now. Yeah.
Not good enough to go there,
Yeah,
but good
yeah,
enough to teach, right?
Yeah.
It's amazing, right?
The campus is fantastic. Their students are amazing. I feel very honored to get to be there. So yeah.
Yeah, you're a teacher at USC, but at the same time, they're like, it's the irony in that you're teaching, but yet,
Yeah,
as a student.
Film school is crazy competitive. USC's, I believe USC takes less people in their film school than Yale does in their law class. One of my students told me that.
Really?
So I'm quoting a student. I don't know if that's true, but that's what they told me. But it's crazy competitive. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Very nice. So how long have you been teaching there?
I've been teaching at USC since 2018 or 19, and I really feel like they also really taught me how to be a teacher. Like I've learned a lot teaching there.
So
Yeah.
essentially you still went to school there then if you learned something, right?
Absolutely. Like I feel like being a teacher, you're learning all the time, and if you ever feel like you have stopped learning, then in my opinion, you should stop being a teacher. But yeah.
So aside from like the cliche answers, right, that you typically get, like why teaching, why?
Yeah.
So why? Like why did you decide to do what you do?
Well, this business is insane. The film business is crazy, and teaching definitely keeps me grounded and gives me a schedule. And I'm a person that likes both those things. I'm a Capricorn, and we're an Earth sign, and we like to have our feet on the ground. And I constantly feel inspired by my students, like every next generation, and getting to try to keep them inspired and keep going in a career that is just so hard. But movies change the world. We get a chance to influence people. Like we're going through a crazy week in the United States of America, and if you didn't believe that what you say on the page, what you say on a screen matters, like this is the week that you got to be reminded that it matters.
It was a find out moment.
Yeah. So I really do believe movies can change the world, and I feel lucky to be a part of the business in any way and help people again, like find that voice and find what they want to say and find how they can influence people. Because when you see yourself on the screen, when you see a version of you, then absolutely you feel inspired to hopefully change the world in some way too.
That must be such a unique experience, just to see yourself in a movie, right? Like you're watching it.
Yeah.
I don't know how I look at myself on videos. I'm like, that's not me.
Yeah,
like, that doesn't
or it's
sound
like
me,
a
right?
version of
Like, what is that?
yourself. Yeah, I mean, if you're lucky enough, hopefully, like an actor is representing you or representing your idea. It doesn't have to be like literally you, but a version of you. And carrying your themes and saying your words, and in that way, it feels like you are seeing yourself. If your words are up there, then you're still seeing yourself.
And a lot of filmmakers or actors, they don't even see themselves in the movie until they see the whole final project.
Yeah, that's
right.
very
So
true.
sometimes they see the movie when everybody else is seeing it.
That's very
so
true.
There was an actor on Joe Rogan. He does Lone Wolf, and he was also on American Primeval.
Yeah.
And he was saying, you know what? He watched the movie, one of his movies. He's like, I watched it literally with a football team, and I had no idea how it was or how it's going to turn out. It was like the first time watching the movie, because then I was like, but a lot of actors don't see the final thing, right? Because you guys are seeing the cut, and then you have 40 different scenes in one day. So vice versa. But as far as teaching end versus being a student, how does that transition? you know?
Yeah. Well, being a student versus being a teacher. Yeah, I think
Which is more challenging.
Which is more challenging. Yeah, I think they're absolutely somewhat the same amount of challenging. I'm actually taking a class myself right now with a company called Stowe Story Lab, which is an incredible organization that really nurtures writers through the process. So I'm like back in the student seat too, with deadlines, because I have a script that I really wanted to finish before the end of this year, because I feel like it's really timely and I want to get it in the world as soon as possible. And it's great to be a student again for a second. I think the difference is the only difference, this might really be the only difference, is like you do have somebody there to make sure hopefully you feel taken care of and you feel safe to speak your mind and you feel safe amongst your other peers. And I do think that takes a particular personality in a teacher to make sure that the class feels that way. Again, especially in the world that we live in right now, you do need to kind of remind people of that, and that people are being very vulnerable when they're putting forth their writing in some way, or they're putting forth their idea for a film. That's a vulnerable process. So hopefully there is a guide there to make you feel safe in that super vulnerable process. And then when you're a student, you have to be ready to be vulnerable to get a really good script. Like, you know, some people say, and this is such a graphic image, but people are like, oh, you have to bleed for the page. And I don't feel like you have to literally bleed for the page, but in some way you really have to put a version of yourself out there. And if you're not putting a version of yourself out there, I don't think that the script will go very far. So I to me, that's like the main difference. Like, hopefully everybody's learning from everybody, but there's somebody there making you feel you can be vulnerable, so you can be vulnerable.
Sometimes you have to take that risk, right? Because a lot of the actors who became writers, like Sylvester Stallone, right? So Rocky, prime example, is like they didn't want him to be in the movie, right?
I know.
So he stuck to it, and he's like, no, if I don't, I'm not going to sell it to you. He even sold his dog, right?
Yeah.
So he even sold his dog in order to make money to survive, and then he went back and bought the dog back. So but like sometimes it's the risk that you have to take. You know,
totally.
leap of fate, basically. You know.
Yeah. There will always be somebody in this business to tell you no, and having the courage to stand up for yourself and fight for your vision and is also part of the process. I mean, the longer I've been at this, the more I've started to also move towards directing, and I have movies that I really want to keep for myself to direct, and movies that I feel okay selling. And you got to like make those decisions for yourself of what you think is the right move for you, and when to kind of put your foot down and fight for your vision.
Absolutely. You know, when you said no, sorry, when you said no, there's a Matthew McConaughey. So he said, you know what, I went out of movies. You know, he's like, I'm not filming anymore. I wasn't going to take anything. He said they presented me a screenplay, and he goes, I looked at it. I said no. He goes, because I didn't want to do it, right? So he's like, and then they came back again, third time, and they said, listen, we're offering you, I forgot the numbers, but they started upping the numbers, right? He goes 14 million, 15 million, you know, and then he goes to a certain area. But he's like, honestly, I just didn't even read the thing. I just didn't want to do it. But he goes, but in doing that, my value increased, because they said, listen, he's not going to, it was just not a game. He wasn't bluffing. He's just not going to take it. And I think he never took that screenplay and made it a movie. But, you know, moving forward, he goes, after that, there was like 10 movies came to me and with the prices that I wanted, but I didn't intend it to be that way.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's just that, you know, a lot of times you even have to say no. Right?
Yeah, totally. Finding boundaries for yourself, for sure. Yeah.
Because if you're writing something that you don't like, then, you know, you're not going to be happy about it.
Yeah.
You know, regardless of it.
It's such a difficult process, though, to release a movie or to do a screenplay, because one, you have to consider the audience, right? And then it's not all about what you like, too. So you have to factor in kind of both aspects. So is that one of the most challenging parts of it, or is it like the idea? Or
for sure.
What's the most challenging for you?
Yeah, I mean, when you get lucky enough to have that opportunity to work with the studio, you're working with a large team of people. So collaboration is the name of the game in making any movie, and you might be getting notes from like 20 people on a project. And I think a lot of that is finding the note behind the note. Like, what are they really trying to tell you that's not working for them, and not being afraid to ask those questions. And again, also like having that boundary, like, okay, what is worth fighting for? Is that going to slow down the project? Is that going to red light the project when you already had a green light? So taking studio notes, I think, is like a true art form, and it's hard, and you got to learn how to do it. Otherwise you're not going to see those larger results. But yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And then in your creative process, right? Like everyone has interesting things they do. What's one of your like quirks? Like that you would say that.
When I was younger, I used to be able to listen to music with lyrics when I wrote. Like I wouldn't be distracted. And then these days, I really like listening to like lo-fi or house music, and that's like all I can listen to when I write. So I would say that is a very specific quirk. Like I can't have anything more dynamic anymore, or just like I get too into the song and I forget like the characters I'm working on. I'm just like, oh, let's listen to the whole song because I love this song. So that's a very specific writing quirk. I definitely have that writing personality too, where like I love to have 3 beverages before, like a coffee, a water, a sparkling water. Like the more beverages, the better.
Few shots.
Yeah.
Tequila too, you know.
Same thing. When I was younger, I sometimes would stay up all night and write, and sometimes I would have exactly 1 drink because that would let me let go of my inhibitions of judging myself. Okay. But you know, we all age, so now I'm like more like, can I have coffee all night if I'm gonna stay up all night? But yeah.
Okay. You know, with screenwriting, what do you think? You know, as far as age of AI. What is that going to do to you guys' profession, especially writing? I put stuff on there. I usually write things and so on and so forth. And then I'll just put it in AI and say, hey, just clean it up, make it professional, make it this, make it that. And it does a wonderful job. And it's like sometimes, this is amazing. I sound really great.
Yeah.
What will it do to you guys? Do you guys see an impact in that?
I mean, maybe it's because I spend my life writing. Is like I don't particularly think AI has a voice. Like when you're trying to write 10 to 15 or 20 or even 30, depending on what kind of movie you're writing. But when you're trying to give everybody a really unique, different voice and make them all sound human, I don't personally believe AI can do that. I think it's behind on that. If you need AI to like write you a form letter to, to your bank, or you're pissed off at a company, I won't name which one, that everybody sent a letter to and canceled their subscription this week. I think AI can do that, but I don't think it can create a bunch of unique voices in a screenplay. That's my opinion. I think AI is really helpful sometimes, helping you like lay out a pitch deck. But beyond that, I'm not particularly using it in my screenwriting. I don't plan to use it in my screenwriting. Sorry to all the companies investing so much money in AI, but it's not my jam. I don't know if that will change or not, but right now it's not for me.
Yeah.
I also like drinking water, so.
What's the advantage?
Yeah.
Exactly. What are the advantages, though? Like, for example, is there certain advantages that they have as far as the screenwriters, like, with AI?
It's probably undeniable that, like, there's so much vertical content being made right now, right? Like, and vertical content is very much like a soap opera. We're literally taking soap operas from Korea and other countries that adore soap operas. I love soap operas as much as the next guy, for sure. And that's formulaic writing. Soap operas have to hit certain beats. Like you have to like have a terrible breakup, and maybe you'll get back together, maybe not. And you have to have like like a woman who feels like a villain. And sometimes this bums me out because some of that is like very reductive writing that we've fought against for a long time in this business of like making sure a woman doesn't feel like a trope and a woman has agency. But, I don't know. That's what many people are watching, or maybe many robots are watching. Like, I'm not totally sure. But I do think AI can do writing that has literally, you have to meet these things by a certain page number. Like you have to have a fight by page 10. You have to have a breakup by the midpoint. Your villain has to, commit a crime or something by X page. Somebody has to turn into a werewolf if you're in werewolf genre. Like, AI can do that because you can tell it, I need this to happen by this page. But again, can it write an interesting dynamic character that speaks like normal dialogue? I don't think so. But
I kind of agree with you. It doesn't have that personal touch like that.
Yes.
something that's unexplainable, what we call like, oh, it's just being human, right?
Yeah,
Like,
just
you
the
don't
human
have that
touch.
character, that personality, that you know,
Well, it can't distinct.
yeah.
It's just
that character is the distinct thing that makes
Yeah.
you. You
Yeah.
know, that's what it's missing.
Definitely.
Because it'll do a lot of the tasks, like you said, is very itemized, where it's like, hey, by this, I need this.
Totally.
By this.
Yeah.
And then it'll spark, it might be like, oh, I don't like the way it said it, but the steps are there.
Totally.
So let me put in the humanity portion of
Yes.
it. Let me put in my swing.
Yes.
Well, you guys have to realize that AI is just a computer, just does everything fast. You know,
Yeah.
it gets, let's say, millions of pages.
And
of
it's not
things
100%
read.
accurate either.
No, it's not. It could be incorrect.
I
it
ran
could be wrong,
some
yeah.
stuff through a test today, and it got like 84%, 87. I'm like,
Yeah.
how do you have access to the whole
Don't-
internet and still get stuff
You should
wrong?
not be doing tests with that.
I had to do like, you know, I had to make sure if it's 100% or not, you know.
No,
So
you know
can't
what
trust
happens
it.
is I think
No.
You can't even
there's-
trust the internet.
Cannot
You can't even
trust
trust computer.
Can definitely not trust
You know,
it.
I think what it does is because the questions in itself, because humans wrote those questions.
Yeah.
And a lot of, like, for example, we're in the insurance industry, and the tests that are done in the insurance industry, they had to lower it because their questioning was so stupid. That's even the people that wrote the test said it was a stupid test that we created. And people were not passing it because when you look at it logically, it fails.
Yeah.
So the question in itself and the answers, yes, it is true, but it is not exactly, and it tricks people.
So which one's the better answer?
Exactly. So, and they did it so stupidly that it does not, people don't pass it, even though they chose 95% it's correct, but that 1% that they put in the other line, it makes it wrong. So,
Yeah.
but you imagine to the level that you have to do, or even the questions itself. And the AI cannot catch that because it's human stupidity. You know,
Yeah.
and he's looking for perfection, right? So, and that it's not perfect. So that's why you don't get fully accurate answers, because people are writing those stupid things.
Yeah.
Because, you know, whatever, you can literally change how AI thinks if you have enough stories that you can put in. Let's say, for example,
Yeah.
if you're a multimillionaire, right? If I can give people 3,000 people to write something. And once AI, and you ask the AI that question, hey, is Sarkis the prettiest guy in the world, right? If I have enough people saying it,
Sure.
it's going to pull up, because now it says, like, wow, there's 3,000 people saying exactly the same thing. This must be true,
Right.
So factually, you can change it because it picks up. It doesn't think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Humans are the ones. You guys are the ones who create scenarios
Sure.
out of thin air.
Yeah,
And I
but then
think-
it gets tricky too.
Yeah.
If you feed AI too much of your voice, then it gets really difficult to copyright your voice.
Yeah.
So then
It
it's like
becomes you.
where yeah, exactly. Where do you end and the AI begins and all this? So yeah.
You get a lot of AI cartoons. Like, it's unbelievable on Facebook and stuff. Even like those babies. You guys have seen those baby things?
No.
The baby characters. Like, they have that guy, the podcaster weekend, past weekend. Yeah. You guys never seen that?
The AI kid?
Oh yes. Yeah.
You've never seen it?
No, bro, I'm not on Instagram like you all day,
No,
bro.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's everywhere
TikTok, I
because
get
it's
it.
so crazy, and it's identical
Joe
to what
Rogan
they're
have a
doing.
baby
It's a
one?
different face.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
they
crazy.
have
Yeah.
them as babies.
Yeah.
Oh, that'll be hilarious.
Yeah, it's funny,
It's
and
funny,
it
but
looks.
it's scary.
Yeah. Even people nowadays, you have to really think about, is this really the person saying what they're saying?
AI
Yeah.
is getting
Because they're
ridiculous with that.
You know. And what do you think? Like, even, let's say, in not cartoons are a little bit different, but I think, do you think even voice actors will be more affected than the writers?
Yeah,
Because of
I mean,
that?
I know that voice actors are already in danger of their voice being duplicated, and this has already happened to actor friends of mine whose voice and image has already been duplicated without their
wow.
permission. So, yeah, absolutely. And when your voice and your likeness is your career, you have, and it happened to Scarlett Johansson, like in a commercial without her permission, and that, I mean, that's her whole livelihood. So I hope that copyright law can keep up with technology, because I think we're in a dangerous place when you are being made to say something that you didn't even say.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my biggest thing with AI too, because if they can mimic your voice, if they can
Yeah.
mimic where you're at, like sometimes it's hard to tell.
Imagine
Hey, is this
proving
AI
it.
or not? Prove it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? That's
Yeah.
it's the
It's a
craziest.
scary, I think, scary zone.
It really
But not
very
only it
scary.
affects acting, and you guys had the protests, right, with the actors and stuff.
Yeah.
What was the outcome of that? I'm kind
Yeah.
of still, I hear it, but there's so much noise.
There is a
that's
lot of
like
noise.
So,
This is a
so confusing.
question I wish I had in
Yeah.
advance, because I am a WGA adjunct member, but I'm not a full member. But I was out protesting with all my WGA brothers and sisters, and I'm a firm believer in all unions and all union action. And none of us will have jobs without unions. So God bless every union, seriously. The final decision I can't like fully speak to, because I was not I wasn't a union member in that moment. I wasn't on any negotiating committees. People, I think, feel ultimately okay about the contract from what I hear from writer friends. I think that we're gonna have to fight every time our contract comes up for renewal. I think it'll be a fight every time, because it's very hard to keep up with the technology. And I think the contract is up in a year and a half, 2 years. Can we imagine how much AI is going to change between now and then? Like so much. So, and then, studios may decide they do want to give up their catalog to AI. They might decide they don't want to give up any of their catalog to AI. And I think that studios will probably somewhat still dictate where we land on contracts. And probably some of those decisions they make of their own intellectual property will also probably dictate like where the next contract will be. But, I hope that there's a lot of smart people already thinking about the next contract and not feeling like too torn up about the last contract. But, there's still writers, and there's still writers who are getting paid. So we're in a halfway decent place.
It's better than what it was before.
Yeah.
At least it's better than what it was.
Yeah.
So I kind of feel like when you touch on studios, I think they will give their, I guess, the screenwrites or their movies that might take too much to make and give that to AI, because then it's costing them way less, and it might just still generate income without
or maybe
at a loss.
A portion of it. Maybe we
Or
don't have to shoot on location. We shoot with like incredible LED monitors behind us, and of course there's like incredible purposes that will also allow indie filmmakers to complete movies in easier ways, like the sound editing that you can complete with AI now. As I'm sure your podcasters is incredible. So I'm not like anti-AI in every way. Some of it is amazing, and I definitely use it in editing all the time. I use it in Adobe Premiere all the time. There's such incredible functions in there that me as a totally independent filmmaker wouldn't be able to complete a project for $500 if I didn't have the AI. I'm just pretty firm believer in my writing. Like I want that writing to be my writing.
Well, you can you can tell though. I think you'll be able to tell your writing versus, even if you train the AI to write like you.
Yeah.
It will never still be the same, because there's just like in everything, there's that human decision you make, right?
Yeah.
That makes you as an individual. So to me, I feel like that AI in any industry is, as long as you utilize it for productivity, right?
Yeah.
To save money, not in a sense to save money versus not how do I say it? Not to save money as far as it goes to paying employees or paying like people, but as far as to time.
Totally.
So time spent on things that you can do other things for.
Sure. And if you can't, also, hey, if you could keep that production in LA instead of fly to New Zealand because of some of the money that AI helped you save, then you're also employing people here that wouldn't have that job that you would have given to somebody in another country. So in that respect, of course, there's like incredible use cases for AI. And it feels like, how do we use AI ethically? That seems like the biggest question. Like what does ethical AI mean? And I think also being conscious every time we use it, like there's environmental repercussions. There's repercussions for people in certain cities in America right now who like don't have running water. Like, so again, like what's the ethical use case? And I definitely am not an AI expert, and I don't have the answers, but I think about it a lot for sure.
Yeah, I think utilizing the right ways, it can help. It can help every industry.
I mean, it has always.
It's always going to be a good and bad with everything.
Yeah.
Now, as far as this year.
Yes.
What's one of the movies that you will say, you know what, it was good screenwriting? It was
Ooh.
amazingly
there's
done.
so many.
Movies.
Yeah,
Which
there's.
one? Name
top
at least three. Yeah, top
I
three.
don't think
just-
I can name them yet because there's a couple I'm dying to see, and we're entering.
So far
Yeah.
that you've seen,
Yes.
not came out, but
we're entering
you know,
the best movie season
Yeah.
now because this is when all the Oscar movies come out. So I'm already just gonna go ahead and shout out Paul Thomas Anderson, even though I haven't seen his new movie yet. But One Battle After Another, I'm hearing is incredible, and it's like a great movie to see right now if you are feeling the pressures of living in this country. I think he addresses a lot of them for what I'm hearing. He's also one of my favorite filmmakers, so I'm really excited to see it. Even though I haven't seen it, I probably am going to put it in my top 3 after I see it. I've watched the trailer like 5 times. I'm so excited to see it. I thought Weapons was fantastic. Such an incredible melding of comedy and horror, which I feel like the genre of comedy and horror is just blowing doors open for really talented filmmakers to mesh genres and experiment with structure and experiment with character and experiment with all kinds of things. So Weapons was really up there for me. I thought horror in general this year killed it. I really liked Companion. Also, shout out to bringing back the broad comedy. Naked Gun was pretty good. It gave us a new love story between Liam Neeson and Pam Anderson, and I love a good love
yeah,
story.
I still watched that.
Yeah.
Was it good?
It was so funny.
Was it?
It was so funny and just like a great summer movie to like zone out. And I love comedy, and I would love to see broad comedy make a comeback. So got to shout that one out too. I mean, I see as much as I can, but those are some of the ones that are like coming to mind at this very moment. Yeah, I just saw Jojo Rabbit for the first time. I know that is not a 2025 movie, but it blew me away. It's now like in my top list of like top 5, top 3 of all time. I just thought it was genius. So I'm constantly inspired by seeing movies and watching old movies, new movies, and as much as I can go, I will go.
Okay, yeah. And touching on movies, what's one of your favorite things you've worked on?
Yeah.
Like one of your favorite projects?
Yeah, that's a good one. Early on in my career, I got to make a couple of independent films that I also produced, and that was just an incredible experience to be that level of involved. So those will always be close to my heart. One is called Spooner, one is called Douchebag. They're hard to find now because it was right in the era where DVDs were disappearing, and they're not currently online. They have been in the past, but those were just like, as far as like doing every job except directing, I did so many jobs on those movies because they were made for very little money. So it was almost like a second film school that I think I really needed to be able to know that I can always go make something. I have a short film that I personally directed called Bits and Pieces, which has been also just so close to my heart, and I've been working on the feature film version for a really long time that I hope in the next like year or so we're finally shooting. But and Bits and Pieces I haven't made live because the feature is still in development, but there are 2 actresses in that movie that I would like to shout out, Steph Barkley and Ashley Ray Spillers, and they're just so funny in it, and it ended up playing a ton of festivals right at the end of COVID. So it ended up also being online for these festivals and just having a really great response and meeting a lot of people through that movie. It's 2 women on a road trip who discover something very unexpected inside a cooler that I'm not even sure I want to give away, but it changes their lives for what they find.
We can only guess.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
So many things right now popping.
Totally. And then the feature has evolved to it's 2 best friends. So it's a queer man and a woman who've been friends forever and are already really bonded for how they've defended each other in life, but they still discover this thing in a cooler, and it really changes their lives. So everybody I've met through that project is also just incredible, and I've been developing it with a company called Neon Heart Productions, and they're also just incredible at development. So my hope is that that's a feature you can see soon. But that's probably my favorite thing that I've ever made myself. And again, I did that one. I really did everything. I directed it. I produced it. I wrote it.
Okay.
3 of us shot it. 4 of us, me, a sound person, and 2 DPs, and that's it.
Keep us updated on that.
Yeah,
Though.
yeah.
And then
That's a lot of work.
Now to start up, what's your least favorite project you've done?
I mean, I've definitely had a lot of hard development experiences, and again, just saying like when you but they're lessons I really value because development is really hard when you're working for a studio. Again, you have like sometimes 20 people to please. And I'm really grateful for those experiences because I'd love to do that again. I'd love to be writing for on studio projects more often in my life. I feel like they've come to me sporadically, and I would love to take a dozen more. So, I mean, I love writing. I love working with people. And I feel like now that I've gone through that process where it was really hard, where people are like, it's not there yet. It's not there yet. And by the way, you need to rewrite this one whole character, which will change the whole script, of course, because everything's connected. Now that I've gone through that process, like 3 or 4 times, I'm like, let's go. I'm ready for it to be hard and like to do it again. So
you're always learning as you take on the jobs.
Definitely. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's tough because, you're writing, you're putting your soul into it, and then people come in and, oh, you need to change this. You need to rewrite this. And sometimes they're harsh, right? They're like, oh, we don't like this. Wait, this is horrible. And they don't care. I think the industry, what we hear about industry is they're always brutal. When it comes to, because they don't care.
With ridiculous timelines. Like, I want you to change the main character in like 2 days.
I mean, sometimes also when something gets greenlit and, but there's like a rule that's been broken because you're trying to, no matter what, get like a PG-13 rating. And sometimes it's even like if people drink too much or a character gets drunk, then they'll pull that rating. So there's weird rules like that where they're like, oh, you need to go back in and think of an alternative for the scene because we can't risk our rating. And so sometimes it's just like business decisions that are affecting the story that you as a writer are like, well, I just want to tell the best story. But then you also have to compromise to make sure that it's also the best business decision because people are spending a lot of money to make your movie. So I understand those notes, but you are right. Sometimes if something's already greenlit, they're like, yeah, we need you to rewrite the scene for tomorrow. So because we got something from, our errors and omissions insurance or an executive told us like, we just can't do this one thing. So, yeah.
Because they don't want to risk the money because of course, you have the freedom to do whatever you want, but then you have to comply with the rules.
Definitely.
Which then you have to still, because then your ratings can cause you millions of dollars, even billions of dollars. Because if you're doing international, some countries will not even take you because there's kissing, let's say.
Totally.
Is there guidelines you get for international like that? Like, hey, this can't be in it. This can't.
China just banned OnlyFans. They cannot do OnlyFans in China.
Wow.
I don't blame them, but
they said, it's immoral. We don't want our society to be watching this. So, and same thing with movies. A lot of American movies were not shown or scenes were cut, when it was overseas, So.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. And usually if there are like rules they're really trying to follow or no matter what, like they want a PG-13 rating, like usually you'll get those notes early on. But every now and then it'll be something like so minor or weird where you're like, I never would have thought of that. And
like smoking, right? Smoking gets a big rating.
What's one of the weirdest ones? Like,
have you guys seen Johnny Carson, Frank Sinatra? And then there was Dan something, I forgot his name. But they're all sitting on John Carson's show. They're all smoking and doing the show. This is, it's crazy, right? Nowadays, if you're smoking, people like your rating goes up crazy. You can put anything else in there, but that smoking will get you worse than having all that sexual stuff in there.
Totally.
Almost all the movies.
But if you're an actor, you can go to a foreign country, do one cigarette commercial and make millions, and then do what you want over here creatively because you already made all that money.
Do they still like kind of backfires if you do that and then they come back in and especially nowadays it's all crazy, right?
Yeah, so. The MPAA, the ratings board, there's a really great documentary on the MPAA. They sit around in a committee and they're the ultimate people who decide what your rating is. And unfortunately we're a country where like violence gets a green light and love and sex and kissing or whatever is something that like ups your rating much faster. And I hope that we become a country that it's the opposite one day. That's my dream for movies. But yeah,
it's open or closed.
You'll get a higher, like closer to R, PG-13 with anything love related. Much more quickly than you will with violence. Like, I don't know, like guts and gore and all that seems okay. And then a kiss or...
That's so weird,
or
right?
whatnot is not okay.
Interesting.
You can kill like 100 people on a movie. And nowadays the movies are so gruesome, you know, like it's like the killings are intense.
Yeah.
They take it to the next level where it's like slow motion and you see the guts going out and
Kill Bill,
you know, the brain is splattering around. And you know, and then like you're smoking, they give you a rating at smoking. And it's like, okay, you just murdered the guy. The brains blew off the, you know, back of the whole, you know, room. But then if he was smoking, that is bad.
You know what's funny? Like,
so backwards.
I don't know if you guys
I care more about vaping.
Yeah. It's crazy. You cannot put a commercial for vape, but then you have movies that are murdering people, killing people,
beheading people,
beheading
like cocaine
people,
cowboys,
right?
like
Yeah,
a bunch of crazy
drugs.
stuff. Like,
it's just the
It is
irony
crazy.
in that is just, it just gets
Like,
me all the time.
what are
I
the
like
movies?
old movies, you know, where it's like mostly classical, where it's just, there is nothing. There's not
Like
even
John
a kiss
Wayne type?
sometimes, but it's just the movie is there, right? Because if you have a good screenplay or a screenwriting, right, you don't have to put that. But unfortunately, the society dictates what they want to see in it.
but also sometimes it does add to pivotal moments though, because it might be like a clue, it might be a hint, like it might be a mystery movie. So
That's what they say. That's why they put it in.
it might be, but then there's overkill too. But it reminds me of like Toy Soldiers. If you guys ever seen Toy Soldiers, that movie.
I have not seen that
Oh
movie.
my god, it's one of my favorite childhood movies.
Oh,
you're talking about like
they went into
killing
military
and
class?
No, it was the action figures that.
Oh yeah,
it was like,
okay. I see. I think
I don't know, GI Joes versus like the aliens. Well, they were beheading each other. They were smoking. Like it was everything, but there's toys.
Yeah.
So it was everything was gory, but,
Right, but-
considered to, but that's what we grew up on.
Yeah.
So to us, like it's
Yeah.
like it's normal.
Yeah.
Have you guys, you know, have you seen Superman? You do like
The new one?
superheroes? Yeah.
Yeah, I loved the new one.
You really?
thought it was
I don't know.
awesome.
I
Yeah.
just didn't like. At
You didn't
15
like
moments, it was just too CGI. The beginning
There
the
was
scenes
CGI,
were
yeah.
like so bad. I didn't even care about the acting because you know you don't expect.
Yeah.
You know, in a Superman movie, you know you don't really expect
It's
like
like
an
Fast and
amazing.
Furious.
Yeah.
You know they're not gonna be acting that
Yeah,
well.
and they had the gorilla fighting. Yeah.
the sixth one, like let's.
Yeah.
Once you flew off of like in Dubai,
Yeah.
like I'm like my
Yeah,
boy.
I was so disappointed.
I
you
love
know.
it. I actually
Yeah,
love
it's-
those movies.
I love them too,
They're
but
so
it's
good.
like, come on,
Yeah.
bro. Like,
yeah.
The last one, even Fast and the Furious, the last one was really bad.
I
You
didn't
know,
finish it. I didn't even.
The guy
I
just
didn't sit through it.
what was this guy's name? Oh yeah,
Oh,
Jason.
Momoa.
Momoa.
Yeah, all you
I'm
have to
trying-
say is the longest Samoan
I'm
guy,
trying to
bro.
remember his
Like-
name. I swear I don't remember people's names because I don't really watch movies. You know, my wife will put a movie
Aquaman,
on, and
bro.
I'm like, "Oh, this is new." It's like, yeah, 30 years ago or 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I never used to watch it, but he was on there, and his acting was just so like, it was just.
That's why he's in a DC movie.
Yeah, it was so cheesy. It was so bad. I was like, it didn't fit. It didn't fit the
Yeah.
whole thing, you know. And people sometimes take jobs just because the money is good.
I mean, they
Well, I
should
don't
have
blame
done
them. If they won't pay
a,
me $100 million, I do that too.
I think
Yeah.
they should do a crossover with Merman. That's what
Merman?
Yeah,
they
it was like
Aquaman.
Aquaman. Yeah, it was.
Right?
Aquaman
I only
meets
seen the one.
fast cars. I would have paid money for that one already.
Yeah,
Right?
I just
That'd
don't
be
like
hilarious.
Yeah,
It's
you just gotta get him back to the ocean.
with the
Yeah.
supercar, right?
Yes.
Summer.
Yeah.
Well, they have those boats now that look like cars. So I
yeah.
think you can.
Missed opportunity. Hey,
Right.
Fast and
Yeah.
Furious franchise.
No, this DC
Maybe
has
I
Gotta
should
lost
get Jason
interest.
Momoa
Yeah.
back to the ocean.
I know, right? With DC and you know, I just lost the interest because they put so many superheroes in one movie. It just loses its effect. You know, like before when we were kids,
Comic books.
every super movie hero had its own movie. You know,
Yeah,
they never.
it's true.
Now there's like even in Superman, there's like it's not even a Superman movie. You know, because
there's
it's not even about
crossover
There's like
characters,
60
yeah.
other fighters, and then CGI is so crazy. And I don't know what it was. It made me feel like I'm watching a series. It wasn't made. It wasn't. I don't think they put the quality. Where it's like, you know how you see like Flash, right? Or something like that, where you can tell it's not Hollywood type of thing.
Yeah.
It's a low budget, but it's not low budget. But, you know, it feels like a series kind
Yeah.
of effects because they don't use crazy effects.
Yeah.
It just felt that way for me.
Yeah. Earlier, you said something that like I can't stop thinking about because I never thought I'd hear this in my whole life. It's like, oh, before DVDs were out of commission because now everything is downloadable.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not on the internet. I never thought that would be a thing because it was VCRs, right? It was
Yeah,
tapes.
it's crazy. Yeah.
And then now I'm like, shit, I'm old.
Yeah.
Like I'm getting there now. DVDs are obsolete.
But also
still use
simultaneously,
DVDs.
yeah, you never know.
I never crossed my mind when it was like, oh,
Yeah.
it's over.
You never know when the streamer is going to take your project off the streamer. So I think Blockbuster has a chance to make a comeback. Is what I think.
And on top of it, what happens when you lose internet?
Yeah, you lose your physical media. Yeah.
Everything is
We'll lose
is
everything.
gone.
Yeah.
I think.
Like realistically, when you lose Wi-Fi,
Yes.
you can't
Do
download
anything.
anything. You can't play video games. You
Yeah.
can't. Everything's cloud based.
Yep.
What do?
Yeah, I've been buying a crap ton of records, and my next project is to buy a ton of DVDs, including have a DVD of everything that I've made, which is insane.
You need to.
Yeah.
But also, if you
Yeah.
look at it that way, if everything is done, if we don't have electricity,
That's
How
true.
you
No,
gonna
no.
watch it?
Wi-Fi is different than electricity.
Yeah.
We'll
Then
have
we're-
electricity.
We're going
but as long as you have
apocalypse.
electricity, you'll have
if you have
Wi-Fi.
wind and water and anything, you can make electricity.
That's
Yeah.
true.
fine.
That's true.
But I can't make a DVD and a storage solution.
That's true.
For it to work.
If I
Going
can
on.
just rotate my turntable fast enough, at least I can still have music.
Right?
But
The
yeah.
battery, the radio.
Yeah.
What is your dream? What would say like what would makes you do what you're doing, and what do you want to achieve? Do you see yourself coming to that dream, and what it takes?
Yeah, I hope so. I'm writing
and
a
what would you
couple
advise
things.
for other people as well?
Sure. Yeah, I'm writing a couple of things right now that I'm just so excited about, and we kind of started the conversation this way that like, stories can change the world, and that is absolutely what drives me. Is that writing is my therapy. It's the way I process the world. I think we make stories and are driven to make stories because we want to figure out what it means to be human. We talked about that a little bit today too, of just like what is our humanity. So I don't know what I would do with myself if I wasn't spending a lot of time writing movies. I think it gets me through the day a lot of thinking about how to write the perfect story, the perfect movie. Of course, none of them are perfect, and that's what makes them great. Like their imperfect perfectness, and exploring that about people and what drives people to do what they do too is another thing that drives me to keep doing it. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of patience. So my advice for other people is to like know that it's going to take you 10 drafts to have a really great script. I've been at this many years now, and it still takes me 5 to 10 drafts to have a great script. So that time and that patience to work on your craft and to want to make something great. And again, this business shifts. People come and go in Los Angeles a lot too. So there's also a process of re-meeting people of who is working where and who can help you. And so it's luck and timing in addition to craft and patience and work. It's so many things. And I think just reminding yourself of that you got to be in it for the long haul, I think, to see your biggest successes come to fruition. And then also maybe something you wrote a long time ago could come back around. You could have been ahead of your time, and like remembering all these stories that you have to pitch whenever you get those pitch meetings. And the more that you have them ready to go, I think also the more likely you're going to see your success. Okay. So I wish, I guess sometimes I've been more ready to say anything back. Okay. And I think like having confidence in yourself and faith in yourself. And sometimes that comes with age, of course. I think somebody pitched me that when I was like 23 or 24, and I couldn't even imagine being married at that point in time. I'd never had a relationship significant enough to be like, I'm going to marry this person. So I don't think I had the right answer, and I wasn't the right person to write that script in that moment. But the more you have like life experience, and also like, hey, like not giving a crap and just being like, I'm going to take a shot and I'm going to say whatever, even if it's crazy. I guess maybe that's my only regret of being like, even when I was really young, I sometimes wish I didn't hold myself back in any way.
Yeah, there was this screenwriter that it was interviewing. I don't know his name, but he was saying that I purposely destroyed my life multiple times just to find stories. Like,
well, that sounds
because
like
I have a horrible time. Because I sometimes, he goes, I sabotage myself.
Yeah.
But and every time I picked up something from what I did wrong or what happened and stuff.
Sure.
And he goes, I don't know if he's telling the truth, kind of, but maybe he was just doing it unintentionally, right? But he was just figuring out, oh man, there's something came out of this.
Yeah.
Well, he might have not been intentionally screwing up his life. It might have been just unintentionally doing it because he's bored.
It's just a screw up.
Like, no, it is, because when life gets too, if you're
boring,
if you're used to chaos, always, because you know my life is always chaotic. It can be anything at any moment, like pops off. When stuff gets too calm, I feel like something's wrong.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm like, why is it peaceful? What's going on? Why is everything working out?
Yeah.
This doesn't feel right. So you intentionally kind of stir stuff up.
Yeah.
At that point.
If there's like kids coming to Los Angeles now,
Yeah.
because now and before, a huge difference, right? It's
Yeah.
almost like a night and day, because a lot of people that we used to meet when we were younger, everybody was an actor. Everybody was a screenwriter, right? They were like inspiring actors. And, we used to go to restaurants, right? A lot of the, especially on Sunset, we used to have Miyagi's. This is way older, like long time ago. There was like Saddle Ranch, which still is there. Miyagi's used to be where Pink Tacos used to be.
Yeah.
Now they're closed. And at those two places, it was the hardest place to be a waitress, to get a job there.
Yeah.
So they used to do an audition. Okay, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Like people will not, how they used to die to work there as
Yeah.
a waitress and a waiter.
Sure, because you make
Because
thousands in a night.
not even
It's the
1,000.
people that
Yeah.
They used to have a lot of celebrities used to go there. There's a lot of nightclubs, and a lot of actresses. They used to get discovered there. And we used to know a few of them that were there, and then we saw them on TV. We're like, oh cow, this guy, this
Wait,
lady.
name some of these.
I don't remember. Don't
Yeah.
ask me about names. That's why we have you. You have to tell us what the names are. I'm so bad with names, and it's crazy. But that's how it was.
Yeah.
But today it's kind of different. You don't have that same energy. They don't have that same opportunity.
And there's so much more.
Yeah.
There's
If
so
they're
many more
coming to
locations.
this state or LA, what would you say come, or there's other opportunities other places?
Yeah, I mean, the business is definitely worldwide now. We're having this struggle of getting the business to stay in LA, right? We've got this whole campaign right now, stay in LA and shoot here in LA. So you absolutely don't have to live here anymore to make movies or to write. But at the same time, like writers' rooms pop off from here a lot. TV writers' rooms, I would say, start here more than anywhere else, except for maybe Canada. But there's still incredible opportunities, and I feel like a lot of hungry people and a lot of creative people are here. Like whenever I say I'm going to just pull together friends and shoot something, I always have enough friends to come help me and just shoot something. And I don't think that exists in a lot of suburbs in America. But here, there's always people who are like, yeah, let's go. And very talented people ready to still do that. But there's a lot of ways to make a career. There's YouTube, there's TikTok, there's Instagram. There's so many ways to have people see you now. And I think the huge advantage of, like, when I was in film school, cameras were still really expensive and the digital revolution was just starting. And now we have incredible cameras in our pockets. So I think ultimately, if you really want to do this, there's kind of like no excuse to not try to make something. I also really like to tell my students, because I feel like I waited too long in my life to have the confidence to direct. If there was something else that I did over, I wish I started directing earlier. So go make a movie with your friends on your iPhone. Like, you can make an incredible movie on your iPhone, and there's kind of no excuse not to do it. So wherever you're living, do it if you want to try to do this and see if you like it. You also might be like, oh my God, I hate editing, or I hate the pressure to try to get people to ask them to help me to do something, like, or you'll be like, oh, I just really like this one thing. Actually, I love editing audio, and you didn't know that about yourself. So yeah.
And then with, like you said, like social media being so obviously worldwide,
Yeah.
right? I feel, that's me personally, I think obviously discovery is one thing, right? You have so many eyes on you, but I feel like acting has gone down. The quality of actors and talent is not the same. Like,
Not in this town.
no, because look at it, like Anthony Hopkins, name somebody that's as talented as he is.
I don't think we
He
have
was.
movie stars
We
as
don't.
much anymore.
We have more reality, almost.
Yeah.
Like,
Old
I feel
school
like
guys.
it's gone. Acting, the actual like that art of acting is not there anymore. It's more like, I think it started when Vine became big.
Yeah.
Right. Then all of the social media influences became actors. Why? Because of the influence they had.
Yeah.
So
I think
feel
the format changed too, like the
I don't-
actors, the way they present themselves on camera.
Yeah, I
Like,
have
you know,
no
if you look
idea.
at the classics to now, like, or between, I think the acting has developed into different
Yeah.
place. You know, like the way they used to call actors. Now
Like the
it's
Denzels,
cheesy,
that-
right? Like you
Or
look at
like
some of the movies.
hyperrealism now,
Yeah.
but yeah.
It's like almost like if we're having the same conversation, it's more real. It's more down to earth, kind of how normal people will speak. Back
Yeah.
then, it was just like, you know, it was an art form.
Yeah.
Right? It's just, it's like a Picasso kind of, you know, like the way they present it. But now it's like, hey, let's present it how this is natural, you know?
Well, movies used to build onto a lot. Like the movie Fracture is one of my favorite movies by Anthony Hopkins. The amount of build up
Yeah.
in that movie
Yeah.
is ridiculous. And the amount of twists, you have to pay attention
Yeah.
to movies. Nowadays, I feel like the attention span is not there
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
to be able to
yeah.
have movies like that anymore. Is that something you see, or is it
I
just
think
like
people
me?
love going to movies still. Like maybe I'm biased, but I think people still love going to the movies. I think people who are paying to go to the movies want to sit there and be entertained. Do inciting incidents come sooner? Yes. Like, do people want action faster? Probably yes. But I think like you also can choose. There's just so much choice in content, which is maybe the problem of like why we don't have quote unquote movie stars. But just like shout out to every person I know that I've ever worked with acting wise. They are still studying the craft. They're taking classes all the time. They're ridiculously talented. And this is another argument for LA. Like there's thousands upon thousands of incredibly talented people here and incredibly talented actors that haven't been discovered yet. And of course, maybe we don't have as much room for like multi-million dollar action hero movies, but if we make less of those, then we're going to find more of those talented people, less of those more like $1 to $2 to $5 million movies. Then I promise you we're going to get more movie stars. Less money on DC and Marvel, more
Marvel.
money on $1 to $5 million movies.
I feel like there's more actors now that haven't acted
Than
before,
ever
and then
before.
they're in the theaters.
Yeah, totally.
Whereas before, it was just like 6 actors, and then
Yeah.
it was just them
then co-stars.
dominating, and there's just supporting actors.
Yeah.
But now it's like more, even on Netflix, you see a lot of
People
new
that aren't
actors that
superstars.
you had no clue, right? And they're coming up and they're getting exposed. But I think a lot of the things are changing. It's
Yeah.
kind of good too, because you have that opportunity,
Yeah.
you know, and also the quality can go down because then everybody's doing it. You know, that's how, you know, if you need horrible actors, we can come in, we'll help you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but you know, it's like actors have a little bit more exposure nowadays
Yeah,
than what they
definitely.
had before, you know, because they can see your rails. If like you said, if you make a small movie, it doesn't matter how stupid it is or how good it is or how bad it is, because, you know, let's say if a director is looking at it, they're like, oh, you know what, you know, we're looking for this stupidity, or
Yeah.
we're looking for this dumb kind of genre, or this area, that area, you know, or the way you did things in it can make a huge difference within the stupid movie.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people have made, you know, I know friends that made like movies that they're not proud of, but then they might have gone discovered it because of that also as well.
Sure.
Because they kind of, within that bad movie, they did a good job.
Yeah.
You know, and somebody saw it. you know,
Definitely.
so-
And again, you're more master of
Yeah.
your own destiny. Like as an actor, you can shoot, 5-10 auditions out of your house in a day. You can also produce your own content and star in your own movie for a couple $1,000s. And I just think now you're just ultimately way more master of your own destiny. Yeah.
Cameras are cheaper.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
you have your phones. I was going to open a photo studio, and I got this camera. It was an Olympus. It was $2,900, and the memory I think was like 56 megabytes or something. And then,
Yeah.
and you could have, I think you could have put a disc in it, but the problem is the megapixels itself, I think, was 8 or 16 million megapixels, which is not even like a quarter of the iPhone that uses that big megapixels.
Yeah.
So it was just insanely expensive. And now you have your phone. You know, you can make a movie on iPhones, right? So like a lot of
Definitely.
movies,
It
professional
shoots
movies
in like
are made.
240 hertz now. It's just
Yeah,
like
it's crazy.
Yeah. 400K.
Yeah,
It's
it's
crazy.
It's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
There's no excuse.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's one thing that you would, like, word of advice, or like something that you would leave the audience with, like, whether it's, you know, developing a screenplay, whether it's like initially or ending or however.
Yeah.
Like, what would you
Yeah.
like?
I would just say, if you do love it, if you realize you do love filmmaking, keep at it. Like this year at the Emmys, a lot of people who have been at this for decades upon decades, like Seth Rogen had never won an Emmy before. He just won. There's another guy who's a really talented improviser, and his name is leaving me. I want to say Jeff Hiller, but hopefully I'm getting that right, because I would like to shout him out. He's been improvising at little theaters where I've done improv, like UCB and other places like that here in LA. And he just got this show a couple years ago, and he is not young, and he just won his first Emmy.
wow.
So the 10-year rule, I think, might be 20 years now, but if you're talented, I do still believe like you will rise to the top, and you just have to remind yourself and keep going and find those things that keep you going, whether it is improv or shooting the little movies on your iPhone or finding your team of people. And LA is a really great place for that, of finding just so many other creative people and continuing to work with that team or continuing to write or whatever it is. I think like the not giving up is really true. And it was nice to see people who've been at it for a really long time and who've had like high moments in their career and low moments in their career kind of get rewarded this year at the Emmys. I feel like that's really rare that happens, but it's a journey. So if you feel like you like the journey, then don't give up. That's it.
Yeah, they tell you, right? Fall in love with
Yeah.
the process, not the the end goal.
Yeah.
Right?
One more thing I want to ask you, since you said the Emmy, right? What do you think about the Leonardo DiCaprio, right?
Yeah, well, he's in my movie I just put in my top 3 that I haven't even seen yet.
No, what I'm
One
saying
battle
is,
after another.
why hasn't he so far not won anything?
No, he won.
he did
won in
win.
Gatsby.
Which one only,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So how many great movies that guy
He should have
has?
won probably like all of them. I think.
Yeah.
Because
He's
that
been
one was out
nominated
of
a
the
lot.
box, right?
Yeah.
He was even surprised they gave him something.
Yeah.
What's the story behind that? Do you know? Or
I mean, I think that the Oscars, from what I know about it, and I have a couple of friends who just got into the voting body of the Academy, which is so exciting. So congrats to my friends I know who just got into the voting body of the Academy. And they're definitely a different dynamic of people that have been part of that voting body for a really long time. For many years, it was older people. There were more men than women for a long time. There was not a ton of diversity, and that's changing just because there's a new guard of people starting to run Hollywood. So I think we'll start to see different types of people start to win. Maybe we'll feel like people are really getting the merit, and it'll be less about the money. But you also have to spend a lot of money to campaign your project. I've also had a couple of friends win Oscars, which also, like, that's incredible that I know people have won Oscars. But I know people have gone through that process, and you have to have a lot of money to even campaign for your movie. So, it's going to take a new group of people to change that, is all I have to say.
So he wasn't campaigning, basically.
Maybe
Or
his studio didn't
was-
spend as much money as another studio, and I
so
hate
basically bribing.
I hate that that's part of it. But I also know how the business
Yeah.
works, and money talks in the world, right? In the whole
Yeah.
world, money
And crap
talks,
walks,
and
right?
parties and all those things.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of
Because the
factors.
guy has great movies, man.
Yeah.
Every movie
Yeah.
I've seen that he's in,
Yes,
he is different character.
he is very talented.
Different
guy.
action.
Yeah.
Extremely talented.
Still a
Uh,
movie star.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
It
It's
still
just-
exists. Movie stars
I mean, he
still
does
exists.
whatever he does off the screen. It's
Yeah.
his business, but
The
but when he's
Revenant
on,
is one of my favorite movies.
When he's
Yeah.
on there, and he's every movie that I've seen of him.
Yeah.
It's never the same character. There's actors, they're always like casted in the same exact character.
Yeah.
It's almost
Hector
like
from Fast and Furious. He's always Hector.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the same thing, right?
Same thing.
Even Matthew, McConaughey, he's
Yeah.
exactly the same. He
Yeah.
speaks the same.
But
his lingo is the
I'd
same.
pay him money to say all right, all right, all right.
exactly.
I'd pay him that money.
Right.
What would you leave our viewers with that you think that can benefit them? And also at the end, just kind of plug in yourself. where they can find you, if
Yeah.
they're looking for projects or if you need any assistance with anything,
Yeah.
that they can get in touch with you
Sure.
also as well.
Yeah.
That'll be great.
Well, you guys work in real estate and insurance. Is
Yeah.
that
Yes.
right? Sometimes I'm like, how'd I get here?
Not
But
as
here
much
I am.
fun as movie making.
I mean,
and
speak
stuff.
for yourself, bro. My
Real estate is fun. Like Zillow
Yeah.
is my favorite hobby.
I
like
hate
for
Zillow. Zillow, I hate Zillow with a passion. You can quote me, you can tag them.
Yeah.
Zillow,
I use
hate y'all.
Redfin.
I hate y'all. But
I gotta be
Yeah.
different,
But what's the show that's on TV right now?
Selling
Sunset.
which one?
No, the Zillow one.
There's a Zillow one?
The, like,
Zillow show?
weird, yes, with Jack McBrayer. He like tours the weird Zillow.
Selling Zillow.
Really?
Yes, you got to check it
Oh,
out.
I have
You
to watch
check
that
it
then.
out. Yeah. It's like all the weirdest homes.
Which is cool. I like
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
I'm cool with that.
Whenever
That's what
it's
I
a
like about
show
Zillow.
and it's
Yeah.
a real estate or anything flipping, even things like that.
Yeah.
Mostly it's
A lot of it is fake. It's fluffed, you know? So,
Yeah.
but the bar rescues.
yeah.
We went off
Yeah.
topic. There was like a bar here in Burbank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they supposedly they changed the outside, they changed
Yeah.
the inside, and after seeing that, and then I drove by, I'm like, damn, it's the same exact thing. But they show the outside was all remodeled. Inside the same thing, it was just they're showing a different place. They got caught on it. I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
they were faking. It was not. It was just they're doing different projects.
Yeah.
And it wasn't really the bars.
That's
It
crazy.
was offset stuff that they did. You know.
So anyway, we digressed.
Yeah, it's okay. But okay, so what I was starting to say. So what's one thing I would leave your audience that would benefit just all types of people?
Exactly.
And I know that some people might come to this podcast thinking about, trying to make more money or how to invest in all these things. So I just wanted to say that I feel like also storytelling and thinking about storytelling is useful to everyone. Like
Yes.
there's moments where we have to pitch ourselves in any business, right? Like, and I do this exercise with some of my students who are not necessarily focused on writing, but I do think it's really advantageous for everybody to do this, to be like, what is my personal log line? What is my personal journey? And you asked me this before too, where I think it is really helpful to like have your personal journey for like a month, for a year. But like, what do I see for myself in this month? What do I see for myself for this year? And giving yourself a log line for that. And like your log line in screenwriting is like, what's my hook? What's my main character? What's my goal? What's my want? And trying to like hit all those things. That's also like life advice, right?
Yeah.
Like of being like so specific of like, yeah, what do I want right now? How am I gonna get it? What are my obstacles? And that's like character development 101. But we can all use that like every day to be
Yeah.
like, yeah, what do I want? And if I define it for myself and I define what those obstacles are going to be, then I'll be prepared. And so anyway, I think writing is for everybody. And like taking a minute to think about that stuff
Life is a
so
movie.
Well, it's like-
valuable. Yeah.
It's what's your why?
Yeah,
at
what's
the end
your
of the
why?
day.
Yeah, totally.
If you write, like I'm a
Yeah.
firm believer, anything I write down, I
Yes.
tend to usually get done.
Yeah.
Things I type on my phone like to do.
Not so much.
It's like, oh shit, I had this to do like 6 months
Yeah.
ago. My
We
bad.
write our journey,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We write our lives.
Yeah.
It's so true.
So we are the
Yes.
writers
And
of
then
our movie.
Where can they
basically,
find
which is
you?
our life.
Like your tags, your Instagram.
Oh
where
yeah.
can they find
Okay.
you?
Yeah, you can. It's just my Instagram is my name, which is Lindsay Stidham. I like to use my middle name because I like it. Lindsay Stidham. And then I'm on Threads. I'm not on the Xbox machine anymore, but I'm on Threads a lot. And and that's my name too, just Lindsay Stidham. I think it's my whole name. Yeah, that's where to find me.
Perfect.
Yeah, just Google me. I definitely come up if you Google my name. But yeah.
And hopefully in the future, you'll invite us to your
Yeah.
major movie premiere.
my
And
gosh,
we'll walk the
come.
red carpet,
Yes, please look out
And,
for
and
movies in a couple
likewise,
years.
hopefully we're there too together,
Yeah.
and you'll be back here with us and sharing more
Yeah,
information.
that'd be great. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank
and
you
thanks to
guys.
everybody
Yeah,
watching.
thank you.
Have a great night.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thanks.